learned at Marketing Mastery event and making sure that you're making progress at actually applying it and building your marketing-driven real estate business. The next reason that we do these monthly webinars is to make sure that you as an agent don't feel isolated out there, that you aren't the only one that's working, struggling, trying to make sure that you figure it all out. Then we do it to hold yourself accountable so that you make sure that you're making progress each and every month. Next, to give you new ideas on how you can move yourself forward. Now, before we get started, I want to just cover my book of the month. And I will tell you, this is such a great book. I think I recommended this a couple of years ago, and I recently reread it, and it just reminds me of how important it is to make sure that we know what we're doing each day, because it creates a setup, a habit that makes a huge difference. And if you want to change, modify your habits, The Power of Habit is one of those books that can really help you understand how to master that. And the things we do, little tiny things each day, if we repeat them, they become those habits that create our success or our failure. And so this is a great book. And again, as you read the books I recommend each month, please send me feedback. Let me know what you got out of it. And I'm always surprised at how few agents let me know what they're reading, what they're getting out of there. So please make sure you get a hold of me and let me know these things. Today we have a very special guest. We have the CEO of Exact Contact with us, and his name is Rich Gossenbeck, and he's going to share some interesting things with us about, first of all, CRMs, but specifically about email marketing and email tracking. I see so many agents out there that are going through and they say, well, I'm doing email marketing, and they're faking themselves out. Because what they're doing is sending out a bunch of mass email. They have no idea if anybody's actually opening it, whether it's getting through, whether their messages are getting bounced. And as you talk to them, they're faking themselves out. They're thinking they're doing activity, but they aren't really getting results. And it's because they don't understand the basics of some of the things they need to about email marketing. First of all, if you're going to do any email marketing at all, make sure you have a great branded template so that now when I open up your email, just at a glance, there's a great brand of who you are. And this is so important. And these go inside of Exact Contact. For those of you that are with us on our websites, you have one of these branded emails. And if you send your email through Exact Contact, your header will be in there, and you can have ones like this, just the node, open house, for a variety of different applications. And I think these are so powerful because now when people open up your email, you get an instant identity at a glance, and now you're going to get more involvement from it. But what's most important is that you understand if people are actually reading your email. And what I want to do is turn the presentation over to Rich and let him sort of give you an idea of when you're sending an email, how to find out if people are actually opening it and reading it. And so I'm going to make Rich the presenter here, if I can find, I'm going to make you the presenter and let you go from here. So hopefully you can see Rich's screen. And are you there, Rich?
I am here, Greg. Thank you very much. Can you see my screen?
I can.
All right, that's terrific. So thank you very much, Greg. So as Greg said, and by the way, it was a very good overview as to why this is important. So in Exact Contact, you can send out mass emails, and as Greg said, they can include your Hobbs-Herder designed branded header. But I think what Greg would like me to focus in on right now is to show you sort of the back end. What kind of analytics can you get from this? What kind of insights can you get? Because traditionally, without something like email campaign reporting, when you do an outbound email send, you're blind. You don't really know what people think of it, what messages resonate, what don't. You don't know who's interested unless they pick up the phone, but not everybody picks up the phone. So let's take a look here. So I'm actually going to, sorry, in the wrong account here. I'm going to pop into my actual production account. I was in a demo account, but I just realized I don't have any mass emails in my demo account because it's hard to demo. So I'm going into the exact contact account that we actually use to do our CRM and our contact management and email marketing to our business partners, prospects, brokers, and so on. I'm going to go to a tab here called Mass Email at the very top. And when I go into the Mass Email tab, I can pick different templates. I can create a brand new email. I can manage my monthly newsletter. But what we want to focus in on is this fourth tab, Campaign Reporting. So when I first click on Campaign Reporting, the system by default will show me sort of some summary data on all the mass emails that I've sent in the current month, which is March. If I want to go, a little deeper, I can say, I want to see everything that I've sent since the beginning of February, view results. And what I get in the first table is just a quick summary of the stats for all my mass emails over that time period. So I've sent 6 mass emails, total of 14,700 went out. You can see how many bounced back, opened, and so on. And that's interesting. But really, you're going to want to look on a campaign-by-campaign basis. So as an example, we every month send out a partner update. So on March 3rd, we sent a partner update to 205 people, had 9 bounce backs, 18% open rate, 1% click-through rate. But I want to know more. So I click on that partner update, and now I'm looking at the statistics that are related just to that one email that I sent out. So now we're getting a bit more granular. And why would you care about things like an open rate for an individual email? Well, there's some really good stuff I'm going to get to, but one thing to point out, if you do different kinds of mass emails, let's say you do just listed, electronic flyers, e-flyers, whenever you get a hot new listing, or maybe you do something like a newsletter, or you do informational mass mailings. One thing that you can start to look at over time is which mass emails do people open. That open rate gives you a good indicator as to what topics people are interested in. So that's one reason to know. And then click-through rate is also very important. We'll get to that in a minute. So for this individual email, again, I can see that I sent it out to 205 people. I had 112 opens of my mass email. Whoops, sorry. And of that 112, 38 were unique individuals, which means some people opened it more than once. If I'm of an analytical bent, you might be interested to know what day people open the email on, and what time of day people open your email. You can see that a lot of people opened it around 10 a.m. So I actually sent this one around 10 a.m. Eastern time, but the really heavy opens really came from about 11 o'clock right through till 3 in the afternoon. So as a realtor, you might find that you're better to send at 7 or 8 in the evening because that's when people are checking their personal email their way from work. You can get that kind of data. But Rich, we want to know more. Yes, Greg?
Rich, what percentage on a mass email, is there a guide of what percentage of an email should be opened? I mean, on the email example you're sending us, it's a little over 50% opened it. And what does that mean? If I send it an email and only 10% of the people open it, what can I sort of figure out from that?
It's a good question. Industry sort of standards these days, if you can get a 15 to 20% open rate on a mass email, that's actually pretty good. If you get up to 30%, that's extraordinary. Again, unless you're offering something free, click here to win your free car. Then you might get a 60 or 70% open rate. But the reality is, people get a lot of email. And actually, it was always true in the direct mail days as well. You never really knew what percentage of people opened your direct mail envelope, but you knew it wasn't 100% if you're doing, direct mail. So 15 to 20% is pretty good. If you're under 10%, that's kind of negative. That's a bit of a sign that either your distribution list is poor, or if it's a quality list, then it's a sign that people aren't resonating with with your messaging. So 15 to 20% is pretty good. 30%, you're doing very, very well. And we do see realtors that get 20 to 30%.
Now, when you say they're not resonating with your message, that's primarily the subject line, correct? Because that's all they're seeing since they aren't opening it.
It's actually, typically it'll be the result of not just that one subject line, but if you see like a 10% open rate, it means your audience that is receiving your mass emails has come to the conclusion that they're not that interested. So usually it's something that builds over time.
So, and that's one of the things that I really want people to understand is that that's why you can't afford to do a bad email in the short term, because over the long run, that makes people less likely to open your emails. I'm also seeing on the question box a question from Melissa Jones. Do the emails promotions tab in Gmail? And now I'm not exactly sure what she means. Do you understand what she means there?
I do.
Okay.
You want me to talk to that for a bit?
Sure.
Sure. Gmail about 6 or 8 months ago came up with a promotions tab. So instead of just having an inbox, there's now kind of two tabs in your inbox. Your general, inbox, and then there's the promotions tab. And Google decides as your mail comes in whether to put a given email in the one tab or the other. We actually have a whole blog post on that, which I will dig out and send to you, Greg, which you can then forward on to the folks.
Okay.
The bottom line is, you don't really have control. The best thing you can do is write good emails. Right? What's a good email? It's, first of all, relevant to the people you're writing to. You have a clean distribution list. But relevancy is the key thing. You really, if you're writing on topics that are relevant to homeowners or would-be homeowners, you have a good chance of going to the proper mailbox, but you can't control it. Google can decide to put you in the promotions mailbox. It's still not the same as being in the the junk mail folder, but it's a separate tab. So again, I will dig out that. There was a bit more to it than that, and I'll dig that out and send it off to you.
Okay.
But most people with Gmail have actually figured out they've got to check their promotions tab, because you can't leave it up to Google to decide what's going in what mailbox, and a lot of important stuff goes to your promotions tab. So you really, most people check both.
Okay.
So let me keep going here. So the other question I get is, gee, Rich, a 15 to 20% open rate doesn't sound that good. That sounds like, email marketing isn't a smart thing to do. And nothing could be further from the truth. Email marketing is fantastic. It's actually still today one of the most powerful marketing strategies and tactics that's available. The thing you have to realize is it is a numbers game. So if I send out a mass email to 600 people and only 15% of them, or make it 20% because my math's easier, 20% of 600 people open it, well, that's still 120 people that open my mass email. They saw my beautiful branded header with my picture and my company logo. They're reminded that I'm in real estate. Maybe they read the whole email, maybe they don't, but there's been that branding touch, that little touch on their shoulder that says, oh yeah, Rich is a realtor, and Rich actually, did a great job for me 2 years ago, and so on. And the next email you send out a month later maybe goes to 600 people, and a different 20% open it. So you don't have to get 60 or 70 or 80% open rate for it to be worthwhile. Think of it this way. How much work would it be to pick up the phone and call 120 people, which is 20% of 600, to say, how you doing? It's a lot of work. So email marketing is very powerful. The price is right, that's for sure. And if you do it consistently, you do it well, it will be very effective for you. But I wanted to go a little deeper to show you why the campaign reporting is important. Because so far, all I've really shown you is, okay, Rich, you sent out 205 emails. It looks like 38 unique people opened them. They opened 112 times, which is kind of odd. Why would so few people open it so many times? But that's all I know. But I can actually share with you and show you more. So we want to go into the details here. Let's look at the details of who opened my email. So this is kind of cool. Now I see a list of all the people that open it. But I'm going to click this little hit number column, which is a hit number is the same as a hit is an open. I'm going to hit it twice. And now what it does, it orders my mass email from the most opens to the least. And you'll notice here that there's a lady named Deborah Stuyer who opened my email 42 times. Now, again, I want to backtrack a little half step here. I'm showing you real-world data on a partner update that I sent to Exact Contacts partners at the beginning of March. Pretend instead you got a hot new listing, and you created a little just listed e-flyer with your header on top. We provide the templates in the system. You basically put in the address, you upload some pictures, you put in some bullets on what the property is all about, and boom, you've got a flyer. So you've blasted that out to 205 people that you feel could be really interested. Maybe it's a particular part of town or a particular price range, these 205 people, they might be interested in this listing. Wouldn't you love to know what people thought about it, right? That's where we're going here. So I look at this and I see Deborah Stoyer. She opened it 42 times. What does that mean? It means a couple of things. One means that Deborah could be suffering from Alzheimer's, and that'd be very sad because she's opening it over and over again. But more likely what it means is when you see a high number of hits, Deborah has forwarded it on to others who have then opened it. For privacy reasons, I can see the open of someone I've sent it to, Deborah, but I cannot see who opens it that she has sent it to. That would be violating privacy rules. But you're not typically going to see 42 as a realtor. But Deborah is a partner of ours. She's forwarded on to other people in her database. But you could easily see 6, 5, 4, 8. What does it mean if someone takes your just listed e-flyer and forwards it 8 times or opens it 8 times? Well, that's a sign of interest in your listing. They might have sent it to their wife, perhaps to their mortgage broker, perhaps to a home inspector, perhaps to their couple of buddies that they play golf with, just to see what do you think of this listing. So it's a sign of interest, right? If it's a single open.
I see myself on this list. I remember getting this email, and I actually opened it and didn't have time to read it right there, so I put it in my read later file. And then when I read it later, I actually forwarded a copy to Bob because I thought it was relevant to something he was working on. So to me, you can get a lot of valuable information as you look at this and say, these are the people that are going to be most interested in what I had to say or what this particular message is about.
You got it. So then we can actually go one more level. So this is an indicator of interest. But what I recommend as a marketer, right, every mass email, your marketers should have a call to action. You want people to do something, whether it's just, a very informative email about, how to pick a good home inspector. You can always have a link at the bottom. Click here to, learn more about home inspection, whatever. But if it's a just listed e-flyer you sent out, the logical call to action at the bottom of your flyer is a big hyperlink that says click here to learn more about this amazing listing. And if someone were to click that, it would take them through to your HopTrader website, where you'd have more detail. It'd be the full enchilada on that listing. Now think about that. Wouldn't you love to know who clicks on that hyperlink and goes through your website? When they go to your website, normally when someone comes to your website and checks out a listing, you have no idea. You're blind. Unless they fill out a form, a contact us form, you don't know they were ever there. But with email campaign reporting, if they've clicked to your website, to that page on that listing, from the email, we know who they are. We can report that. So to see this, we go to link analysis. Now, sadly for me as a marketer, on my little partner update that I sent out in March, I only had 2 clicks on my hyperlink here. It's a long hyperlink. I won't read it all. But pretend this is your hyperlink that says, click here to learn about this amazing new listing. And maybe you sent it to 205 people. Only 5 people click on that. That's gold to know who those 5 people were. I call them well-qualified leads. And why would I call them well-qualified leads? Because, first of all, they're demonstrating by their behavior that they're interested in the lead. In your listing. They read it, they opened it, they read it, they got to the bottom where your hyperlink was, and they clicked on it to learn more. So that's number one. They're demonstrating by their behavior that they're interested in this listing. Number 2, they're in your database, which means you've got some level of relationship with them. To some level or other, they know you, like you, and trust you. And that's very different from a cold stranger coming in off your website you have no pre-existing relationship with. So with campaign reporting, you can go right down to the names of the people who clicked on any hyperlinks in your email. So now it's gone from being a blind one-way correspondence to actually a generator of high-quality leads. And of course, what would you do with these 4 names or 5 names or 8 names? Well, you may decide over the next day or 2 to pick up the phone and make a "How you doing? Keep in touch" call and say, by the way, a day or 2 ago, I sent out a flyer by email on this new listing I got in, Marina Del Rey. Not sure if you got it, but I just thought of you. I included you on my distribution list because I thought you might be interested. And the person's going to go, "That's so amazing. Yeah, I did get it. And in fact, I thought it was really interesting." And bang, now you get into the conversation, and now you're qualifying a potentially very good lead.
See, and one of the things that excites me about what you're talking about here is that I look at this and say, here's an opportunity for me as a marketer to test my calls to action, because I can set up 2 emails, one with call to action 1 and now call to action 2, and I can do an A/B test and say, okay, look at this call to action got 2 clicks to my website. This call to action got 15 clicks to my website. Let me think about calls to action to my landing page, to my website, anything more this way. And this is how you can learn more about what is making your email more effective. Now, I see a couple of questions have popped up. One about some basic things about email. One is, what happens if an email is bounced back? And we sort of skipped over that. But how do I know if my email address is good? And you might address, how do I see, what happened with good and bad emails, and what exactly happens in exact when an email bounces or gets undeliverable or stuff like that?
In order to answer those questions, we would go to this tab here, Bounce Back Stats.
Okay.
So we would click on Bounce Back Stats, and you'd see again some summary, 196 valid recipients, 9 hard bounces, so 4%. So the table actually goes a little deeper. It shows you the number of soft bounces, hard bounces, transient spam. So you're thinking, what the heck do all these things mean? Well, you're not the first to wonder, so there's actually a handy little glossary here as to what all these things mean. But I'll cut to the chase for you. The one you care about is hard bounce. The rest, quite frankly, you can ignore. You'll see the most common one is a soft bounce. Say, Rich, how can I ignore a bounce? Sounds bad. But if you read the definition, unable to temporarily or temporarily unable to deliver a message because perhaps the person's mailbox is full, their account is temporarily disabled, exceeds quota, out of disk space, etc. So in other words, there's nothing you can do about it. These things happen, but don't delete their email address. It's still good. But a hard bounce is a whole different thing. And that what this says technically is the server was unable to deliver your message. In English, that means that's a bad email address. That's no longer working. So what you should do is pop into the details on your hard bounces. Here's all your hard bounces, and you should go back into your database. In fact, I still have to do this. It's on my to-do list. And at a minimum, delete these email addresses. They don't exist. You may, and then you need to decide. If Brian Dutremble is important to me, then I should probably give him a phone call, or in fact, I have to give him a phone call. I can't send him an email. I could text him and ask, and just say, hey, Brian, I just tried to send you an email. Got a bounce back. I'm just wondering if you got a new email address you could share with me. But for sure, take them out of your database. It keeps your database clean, and the ISPs like that, you'll get better deliverability if you have a very low hard bounce rate. So 4% is still pretty good. A lot of agents will have hard bounces in the 20, 30, 40% range, and that's very bad. You really want to clean those out. You're better to have no email address for someone than a hard bounce. Okay? So the system doesn't do it for you automatically. It'll tell you who the people are, but you would then go into the contacts one by one and delete that email address. But if you do it regularly, like every month when I do one of these, I may be a couple months behind, but typically each time you do a mass email, you clean up any hard bounces, it's a 30-second or a 1 minute or a 2-minute task. If you don't do it for a year, well, now you got to put aside a half hour, it's a good thing to do while watching baseball one night or something on TV, because it'll take you some time. But if you do it diligently, it's always a quick task. The other thing that's slightly different is spam notification, or sorry, not spam notifications, unsubscribes. I want to talk about that for a second. So these are bounces, and people often ask me, well, what about if someone unsubscribes? What happens? And the system does take care of that for you automatically. So if I pop into a contact profile, just pick the first one on my list here, and I scroll down to my section where I have the email email addresses for Dan, you can see there's a little section here that says accepts mass email, yes or no. So whenever a contact is created in the system, the default is, yeah, they accept mass email. But if they click that little unsubscribe link at the bottom, and by the way, all mass emails that are sent through Exact Contact will have a unsubscribe link automatically attached at the bottom. If they click that, then the system will change the status from yes to no automatically for you. You don't have to worry about doing it. And you can keep their address, but until this changes, they won't be getting your mass emails because they've asked not to. You can see a report where you can see everybody who has unsubscribed, and you can choose to reach out to them and say, hey, obviously my email messages weren't something you were looking for. You can ask them for feedback. You don't have to worry about continuing to spam people who have said, please stop. Okay.
And I see a question here that I always think of, as we're doing this stuff on a regular basis, and we think about it, and some people don't seem to see some of the things that we're seeing. One of the questions is, if I send somebody an email using the branded template in Exact Contact, and they hit reply, will that email go back to the agent?
Yes, it will.
And how is that denoted in Exact?
Not sure what you mean by denoted.
Well, when you send an email in Exact, is a record kept of it? Can I see what I've sent them?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So could you show us how I can tell if I've sent somebody an email?
Well, I think I've got a contact in here named Herder. Oh, there he is. So if I were to open my contact profile for Greg Herder, I've got all this interesting information on him, the company he works for, his phone numbers, and so on. But one of the things I have when I go into his contact profile is I've got a tab here that gives me a summary of my contact history. So if I click through on contact history, we can see any letters that I've sent to you, and you'll see there's many pages of this. If I send a marketing email, which is another word for a mass email, and you are on that distribution list, then that goes automatically to the to your contact history. But I can also log individual emails that I've sent, phone calls if we met in person. So this is just some example of my contact history with yourself, Greg. So you can see we walk our talk here, but the ones you're asking about would really show up as mass emails. Okay.
All right. So I see somebody in here that asked a question. Can I customize information on a monthly newsletter? And I know that Exact Contact has a newsletter in it, but can that be customized?
Let me talk to that. So I'm going to just pull up a preview, because the answer is a partial yes. So I'm going to just pop into the monthly newsletter tab here. So for those who don't know, Exact Contact does include a professionally designed and written monthly newsletter for all subscribers. It's part of what you get with the CRM. And you can set this up and configure it when you first get your Exact Contact account. It takes about 2 minutes to be set it and forget it. So it'll actually go to your distribution list automatically every month with your header, and you don't have to do a thing. But if you want to customize it, you can. So let's take a preview. Take a look here of a preview. So this is a preview of the newsletter, and there's 3 sections to it. The first section is your header. So this is just a simple header that the system builds. Then the second section is the personal message. So this is kind of your personal message. So there'll always be something that we provide, so it can be literally set it and forget it. But this is completely editable. You can blow that up. You can make it as big as you want, as small as you want. It's fully graphical. You can include pictures about your latest listing. You can include market stats, whatever you want. And then the third section is the 3 articles that we write and design, and these currently are not editable. So the 3 articles, surviving a bidding war, should you accept a conditional offer, will your furniture fit? Those are not editable today. We're getting a lot of requests to make these editable, so you can replace an article with your own content, and we're looking at that. But right now, it's really this middle section where you make it your own. Okay? That's the idea.
So, Neil, I get a question from Janine Marion, and she says, how can I get all my contacts into Exact? I have contacts in Umail, Gmail, our office, back agent, corporate website, my Outlook.
Wow.
And so she has a whole bunch of emails spread out, and she says, I'm just worried about the time to get this all into Exact Contact. Can you address that at all?
Sure. Well, I guess the first thing I should mention is that we upload your data for you. And not that many CRMs do that. Usually they'll give you some little instruction guide, but it's never as easy as they present it. So we typically say, hey, send us your data and we'll upload it for you. Often that's a single spreadsheet. Sometimes it can be 1 or 2. It sounds like Janine might have her data in about 6 different places. And if that's the case, Janine, you've got to do something. I think I would rip my hair out if I had that. So definitely there's so many business benefits in pulling it all together into one database, whether it's Exact Contact or something else, but I strongly encourage you to do it. We don't typically clean up customers' data. That's just sort of a bit beyond what we're structured to do. So the best thing for Janine is if she can get all her data from these different sources, into an Excel spreadsheet, dedupe it, because undoubtedly she's going to find duplicates, probably triplicates and quadruplicates. But she'll have to, if there's 4 Greg Herders in her database, she has to figure out which of my 4 Greg Herders do I have the most recent and accurate and complete data in, and that's one I'll keep, and I'll delete these other 3. It's hard for us to do that because we don't know your business. We don't know which is the best, of your 3 Greg Herders to keep. If you really need help, you can send, say, 2 or 3 spreadsheets to us or CSV files, and I can ask one of our customer support reps to try and put it together, consolidate it into one. But the deduping, you really still need to do on your own. And depending on how big your database and how many sources you have, it can be painful, but it is absolutely worth the time investment. Whether it takes you 15 minutes or 3 hours, do it now, do it as soon as possible. It'll make your life better, and it will help your business grow, because you probably have no idea how much time you currently lose, looking for data. And of course, it's never in the database. It's always in the last place you look. That's life. It's in the last place you look, and then it's obsolete, and you have old data here and current data there. It's just, you'll gain an hour a day just by having your data cleaned up and all in one place.
And people often ask me, Greg, what's the best CRM out there? And I always tell people the best CRM is the one that you actually use, and there's no shortcut. I mean, it takes a little bit of time and effort. I mean, the one thing I like about Exact is that, to me, it's got one of the shortest learning curves to get comfortable with it, but you still have to spend enough time and effort. And once you start using a CRM, it makes such a huge difference in the efficiency of how your business operates. Rich, we have another question here from Anna Sherry, and it says, I have 4,500 email addresses in Exact, and I only get 1,000 emails a month included in my Exact subscription. Can I pay a set fee for unlimited emails to 4,500 emails a month? That way they'll automatically get the emails a month as she would in vertical response?
There's no flat fee. So let me just explain to those who aren't familiar with the issue. With Exact Contact, as I mentioned, we provide all subscribers with the monthly e-newsletter at no additional charge, and we provide 1,000 free mass emails each month. And it's a use it or lose it thing. So if you only use 500, then the next month you get 1,000. You can't kind of roll it over. But there's no limit to the number of mass emails you can send. You can send 1,000 a month, 5,000, 10,000. It's completely up to you. But if you want to go beyond the 1,000 that are free, then you do need to bulk purchase additional mass emails. So they're actually very inexpensive. Here it is, actually, purchase emails. So if you feel you're running short, you can bulk purchase. And of course, the more you buy at one time, the cheaper they are. So as an example, if you buy 10,000 mass emails, it's $50, so it's half a penny per mass emails. And these 10,000 that you bulk purchase, they never expire. It's not, you can use them whenever you feel like it. So maybe you're doing 4,000 mass emails every month. The first 1,000 are free, so you would need 3,000 that you would dip into from your pool. So about every 3 months and a bit, you would have to make an additional bulk purchase. But mass email isn't free, whether you're using vertical response or constant contact or anything like that. Everybody's pricing algorithm is a little different. Some do it based on the size of your database. Some do it based on number of emails sent. But this is how ours works. So,
go
ahead.
I want people to understand. So many people say, "Well, Greg, why does anybody charge for emails?" But today, email is so complex. Staying out of all of the blacklists and different things. And one of the things I like about Exact is that it helps agents navigate all of the behind-the-scene things without making them have to do it in, a half a cent an email is a great deal once you understand, it's going to keep you from getting blacklisted and all the other things that can go along with running email, because it's definitely not as simple as most people think it is. And once you get into a blacklisted situation, you lose the ability to send email to almost anybody. And I think a lot of agents aren't really aware, and that's why I tell people, just be careful of doing what I call mass spam, and especially don't go out and buy a mass email list and say, oh, let me send these 25,000 people an email, because unless you have done everything correctly, you're going to end up in a blacklist situation, and you'll lose access to email from almost anywhere. And I think most agents don't really understand that.
You're absolutely right.
I see a question from Thomas. It says, what options are there to put a contact into an email campaign? For example, if I get an online buyer lead today and I can't reach them by phone, is there a way to automatically schedule 2 or 3 follow-up emails for that contact? Now, what he's really asking about is an activity plan. So can you run through either using an existing activity plan or setting up a new activity plan for that particular situation? Because to me, this is one of the great advantages of a CRM like Exact Contact.
Absolutely. I'm going to actually change accounts. I'm going to go back to my demo account. It's not good to demo within a production account. You never know what can happen. Okay, so I'm in my demo account now, and I'm going to go to this. First thing we'll do, let's take a look at what's available in terms of activity plans, and then we'll show you how you would assign an activity plan to a person or multiple people. So the system comes with a whole wealth of activity plans. At first glance, you'll think, wait a second, they're all duplicated, but they're not. The reason that you would see a plan twice is that each plan is in an email format as well as in a letter format. So you can choose which is your preferred, method of correspondence. But, we have plans, for instance, a very specific one, a 2-year first-time buyer who's currently renting prospecting plan. So, you've met a young couple, they're going to have a baby soon, they're both professionals, they're like 20s, they're going to buy a home soon, but they're not quite ready yet. You can't put them in your short-term funnel, but you want to keep in touch with them, because when they are ready, you want to make sure you're the one they think of. So there's an example. 2-year seller prospecting plan, we have a 2-year buyer prospecting plan, high touch, a 4-month high touch buyer and seller prospecting plans. We have a 5-year sphere of influence nurturing plan for past clients, 6-month after purchase nurturing plan, although I think there's a better one that Greg's provided. I'll show you that in a minute. We have plans for sale by owner prospecting, expired 6-month expired plan, and then we have some very cool plans here provided by Hobbs Herder if you have the Hobbs Herder version of Exact Contact. So there's the classic 90-day plan that really is at the core of your business, but we also have specific communication plans for expired listings and for sale by owners. And, quite honestly, the Hobbs Herder plans are far stronger than the ones we provide. But that is what you would expect. So those are there. If you want to see what's in a plan, for instance...
Well, why don't you show us how to... Let's say if somebody wanted to create a little plan real quick. Show us how to do that.
You can always create a plan. There's a little link here at the top. Create a new marketing plan. So you would click the link. You give the plan a name. So it would be Rich's, we'll call it Rich's 6-month buyer prospecting plan. I do want to mention one thing. If you look at one of the existing plans, you think, boy, that's close, but not quite. You don't have to create your own from scratch. All the plans in the system are completely editable. You can change the order of the steps. You can delete steps entirely. You can add new steps or new emails or letters to an existing plan, and you can change the content of the templates themselves. So you look at template number 3, and you go, I love the first 3 paragraphs, but that last paragraph, that's not how I would talk, and you can change it. But if, let's say you've looked at the plans, you said, no, none of these really do it the way I want to do it, so then you create your own. So you give it a name, you give it a description, and then it's pretty simple. You got to give it tasks. So let's say if it's an email, a drip email campaign, the first one might be email number 1. And the type would be an email, and you decide when should that go out. So by default, the system will assume you want to use drip, which means you don't have to do anything. It'll go automatically. If you want control, if you're a control freak and you say, I don't want stuff going out without me pushing a button, then you just unclick that. And what will happen is on the day the email is due, you'll get a task show up in your task list to send it. But believe me, 99.9% of people, one of the beauties of email is the ability to automate it, right? So I say, okay, this first email after I've met someone, I want that to go out in 3 days, okay? And do I want a task reminder? No, because I'm on auto email here. What about weekends? You know what? Move it to the previous business day. Or I can say I don't care. I can go out on Saturday or Sunday. And then what I need to do is pick the actual template. So I can search by keyword. So the first thing you need to do, so I'm doing a little bit backwards, is if it is an email or a letter plan, you actually create the email or letter templates in the email section, and then you call them from the activity plan. So right now I would say, what's the first one going to be? Are you nervous? So on day number 3, the first email in this plan will be one with the subject name, Are you nervous? I'm going to assign that, and there it is. So then I want to do another one, and this is also going to be, email number 2, and it's going to be an email, and it's going to go day 10, so we'll wait a full week. First one went on day 3, this will go on day 10, and my template here, is Hobbs Herder Listing Service letter number 1. Maybe I really like that letter. So even though there's letters here and emails that are tied to specific plans, they exist as templates. You can use them for anything you like. Okay. Click Save. So now you'll see in basically 1 or 2 minutes, I've started to build a plan. And these can be emails. They can be to-dos. I can pick up the phone and call someone. So maybe a day step number 3 is to pick up the phone and touch base, right? And I can write a little phone script. So it's that simple. You save it whenever you're done. And
I will make a suggestion to people as they're watching this. These are very easy to create, but one of the things I found is that when you're creating a plan, the more descriptive you can get, especially in your headers like email number 1,
yes,
email number 2, put a description of email number 1 and something about what's in that email so that when you're looking at that, you can understand that plan. Because what I found is that once you get 5 or 6 email plans in there or activity plans, now if you've named them all email number 1, number 2, number 3, and that's the only thing there, you're going to have to look at them over and over again because you'll never remember which plan was which. So try and be as descriptive as possible in those, and that's very useful.
Yeah, now, Greg, you're 100% right. The only reason I didn't know that I was trying to move fast, but yeah, you do want to describe them. In fact, I'm going to show it just so people get the idea. But before I do, I wanted to show that how do we know that plan took? There it is. So under marketing plans now, I have a new plan called Rich's 6-month buyer prospecting plan. I should even give the plan a description, let alone the actual templates.
Bill Gardner's asking a question. It says, how do I send a copy of your e-newsletter to a person that they forgot to send in the mass email?
There's a resend function.
Now, does that resend to everybody or just?
I'll show you. If you go to the monthly newsletter tab. Oh, I don't have it activated. Let me go back to Keep in Touch. Let's activate our monthly newsletter. Okay, now I can go back to mass emails, monthly newsletter. So, January 2014, Rich's Fabulous Marketing Newsletter, I can do a resend. And I think it just asked me to select the contacts I want to pick. So I pick Select Contacts. I can either use the basic search or the advanced search that's in the system, and I pick the contacts I want, and I would click, and then the system will finish itself. So yes, you can resend, and you can do it multiple times. So as you miss people, you can resend to them.
All right. So tell me, in your opinion, what are the biggest advantages of having a CRM?
Well, at the highest level, at the very, very, very highest level, really a CRM is a cornerstone for success in real estate sales because it's one of the key foundation stones for building a referrals-based business. Because then you say, well, why? Well, why is it so important to building a referrals-based business? Well, because to do that, you need to first and foremost keep in touch with people. Okay, well, your CRM helps you keep in touch with people because you can do things like um, use a monthly newsletter to stay in touch with your old database or some portion. But it also, you can set up your keep in touch calls. You can say, everyone on my A list, I want to give a phone call to once every 90 days. And the CRM can, every 90 days, give you that little tickler, shows up in your task list. It says time to give, Stan Novak a call. If you don't have a CRM and you're trying to manage all this in your head, it's just not possible. You just can't do it. So what ends up happening is things fall apart. You don't make those calls. You lose touch with people. Then suddenly 2 years goes by, and now you're too embarrassed to pick up the phone and say hello because you feel bad. You're embarrassed. You don't want to do it. So it helps you keep in touch, and by keeping in touch, you keep your relationships alive and healthy. The other side of it is it helps you build a referrals-based business because it's not just keeping in touch, it's also doing a great job for people. They're only going to want to refer you and come back to you with repeat business if you did a great job. So there's the whole sort of active business side of the system where you can manage all the to-dos that are related to your active buyers, to your listings, and so on. And it helps you to stay organized and in control so that you operate as the consummate professional, and that's what your clients want from their realtor. They want a consummate professional. So by doing a good job, by meeting milestones, by never missing an appointment, by being on top of all those details, you're that much more referral worthy, and therefore, again, it helps you to build a referrals-based business. So the two key things are it helps you to keep in touch and build relationships, and it helps you to stay organized and in control. And when you do those two things well, you're building a referrals-based business over time.
So, Rich, as a person in the real world, though, today, I always struggle because, to me, I live off of my cell phone and my iPad. And I've always struggled to keep everything synced between that, my CRM back in the office. I mean, and as a realtor, we have an MLS CRM, and we have all these little CRMs everywhere else. How do I organize those all together so it stays consistent?
You need to pick one. And typically, an MLS CRM is not where you want to be. That's not why they exist. That's not their focus. Some people say to me, I've got an iPhone. That's my CRM. An iPhone is a very good smartphone, as is an Android, but it's not a CRM. A CRM is a customer relationship management system. And what's important is you want to be able to get access when you are on the road. You want to be able to get access to three key things from your smartphone. You want to be able to make sure you have up-to-the-minute, accurate contact information. You want to have access to your calendar and your appointments for the day, and you want to have access to your tasks. What do I have to get done today? So with Exact Contact, we sync automatically and continuously with your smartphone. You can also sync with Outlook and with Mac Address Book and iCal. But once the sync is set up, something one of our little support reps turns on, it's bidirectional, it's automagical, it's through the cloud. So, you add a new, let's say you're having lunch with a client and you pull out your smartphone. The client says, I've got a new email address, Greg. And you pull out your iPhone, you look them up in the contact database that's built into your iPhone, right there on your home screen, and you change that email address, you tap the save button. Before you put your iPhone back in your breast pocket, you've updated that contact data in your Exact Contact database. It's happened instantly through the cloud, and it goes both ways. So, you just add an appointment to your calendar in the morning where you're having breakfast and coffee, and, before you can throw on your coat and go out the door, that appointment you added to Exact Contact is on your Android phone. So that's really the best way to handle that. If you've got a tablet, like an iPad or an Android tablet, you really have two choices. You can sync, as I just described, wirelessly with the address book and the calendar built into the tablet, or just go into Safari, if or Google Chrome, and just access the full system. A tablet's a big enough device that you've got the full, power and functionality of your CRM available to you on the tablet, and it works beautifully. But for the smartphone, it's the synchronization that's the best.
All right. So, Rich, I know that a lot of everybody on the line has been to the Marketing Mastery Seminar, and I talked about Exact Contact there. Could you just go through what exactly does it cost, and what is involved in getting set up with Exact Contact?
Sure. So everybody who's part of the Hobbs Herder ecosystem starts with an extended 60-day free trial. The normal free trial is 35 days, but when you sign up through Hobbs Herder, you get 60 days. And after that, it's $34.95 per month. But there's no contract or commitment. Billing is month by month, and you can cancel at any time if it's not working for you. There's no risk or no penalty. For that $34.95, you're getting the full-blown CRM with all these functions we're talking about, all these activity plans, these built-in activity plans, all the letters and templates behind them. You're getting ongoing customer support. There's unlimited phone support. You get a constant stream of enhancements and upgrades. You never pay for an upgrade. They just come to you. And you get the monthly newsletter, which, you know, a lot of realtors have a separate service for an e-newsletter, and I've seen anywhere from $25 to $50 a month just for a quality, you know, professionally written e-newsletter. So that's built in as well, the 1,000 free mass emails, and we'll upload your data for you and free of charge. So that's kind of the basic pricing model.
And to sign up for it and get the Hobbs Herder version, where would they go?
You would go right here. You would go to Exact Contact, but you would actually put in /HH at the end. And when they put in /HH, they'll go to a little sign-up page. It's got the Hobbs Herder logo in the top right. You can see it says free for 60 days. You fill out the little form. It takes about a minute, and you're done. And you get a welcome email. It says, congratulations, welcome to Exact Contact. Here's a link to your free trial account. And it is the full system. You know, it's not some sort of dummied down version. It's the full system. We'll upload your contacts for you. No limit on the number of contacts. During the 60 days, you'll get 2 versions of our newsletter that you can use and send out, and you're off and running.
All right. So I don't see any other questions popping up here, but let's open up to questions and anything else. And I see a question that says, does it sync with Gmail contacts?
We don't sync with Gmail today, but that is actually on our development roadmap. We're expecting to have that within about the next 4 to 6 months.
The next question I'm getting here is, how is it different from Top Producer?
The biggest overall difference is that Exact Contact, most people tell us, and I speak with Top Producer refugees every single day of the week. And despite what their marketing might say, Top Producer CRM is still a very, very complex system. They've got a little sort of smartphone app that is quite clean. It's nice. But behind that, it's like the tip of the iceberg. You know, what you can see on that and what you have access to is really the 5% of the iceberg that's above the waterline. But what's behind the waterline is what's actually called Top Producer 8i. And it's a very powerful CRM, but it's become overwhelmingly complex for the vast majority of agents. So when I talk to people, I say, well, you know, the biggest single difference is most people find Exact much quicker to learn, easier to use on a day-to-day basis. They're often skeptical. And then they try it, and they say, wow, it actually is just much more intuitive and easier to, often in Top Producer, some of the basic things, like I want to look up a contact and, you know, find out their work details and then find out the spouse's phone number. It can be a lot of clicks. It's a lot of little different tabs and windows opening up, and in Exact, it's pretty straightforward. So ease of use is the biggest difference. Second one is the monthly newsletter. We didn't even talk about the automation side of it. When you set up your monthly newsletter, it takes about 2 minutes. There are some really easy decisions you have to make, like what month do I want it to go? You know, the default is, well, it's going to go 12 months of the year, right? But you could say, turn off December. I'm going to do a calendar, you know, mail out instead. And you decide when you want it to go, what day of the month, and so on. But there's a couple of pretty cool little features where you can say, you know what? After I've set up this monthly newsletter and I've chose who in my database are going to get it, as my database grows over time, I don't have to worry about manually assigning additional people to the database. I don't want to worry about that resend button. Okay, quick little button that says automatically assign new manually entered contacts to your newsletter. So as I add contacts to the database, they automatically go in the newsletter. Anybody who's coming in off my website lead capture, add those to the e-newsletter. And if I had smartphone sync, which I don't on my little demo database here, I can say, you know what, anybody I've added to my smartphone that's flowed into my database, put them on the e-newsletter. So this kind of automated e-newsletter functionality, Top Producer doesn't have anything like. And the other thing that where again we have a huge differentiator, was this campaign reporting. Top Producer does not have any email campaign reporting. Now this is my demo database, so everything is zeroed out. But you saw that we actually use it very aggressively ourselves on our production database. So those are the three big differences.
All right, I think that's great. I have a question here from Rochelle. If I have an assistant, is there a way to update 2 emails?
I'm not sure. I think does she mean update 2 smartphones?
I'm not taking it that way. What I'm thinking is, can I have emails coming from 2 different people if you have an assistant? And you might talk about what's the difference between the regular exec program and the program if you have team members or assistants, and when is technically somebody a second person?
Okay. So with Exact Contact, if there's more than one person, if you got a team, you've got actually 2 choices. If it's a small team, and by small, often it's a 2-person team, or maybe 3, husband and wife, very common, or a mother and her daughter and maybe a part-time assistant. Multiple people can share one Exact Contact account, and they can be in the database at the same time on different computers, but they're just paying the one fee, the $34.95. But there is only one email address tied to the account. So it works when the little team markets themselves as a team. It's the Bob and Sally Smith team, and the photo has Bob and Sally in the photo, and it's, Team Smith at kw.com or whatever. If that's not working for you, if it's a big, and typically, once you get past sort of 2 to 3 people, you're into a bigger team of 4 to any number, then you need the Teams version of our system. And with the team version, each person has their own email address in the system. You can send out your marketing, your mass emails, either from a team email address or from any individual's email address, and it'll grab the individual's email header. So you've got that flexibility. Plus, you have each person has their own calendar, their own task list. You can have visibility from one team member to the other, and different team members can assign appointments or tasks across different team members. But the team version, each person does have their own account, although it's tied to the team database. So the team leaders, $34.95. Team members, which is basically everybody else, no matter their function, everybody's not the team leader is a team member, and they're $24.95 per month.
Okay. So can you show a contact record? Does it show emails received? Right now, the system is a mass email engine. It's not a one-to-one email engine, so it doesn't replace your Outlook or your Gmail. We never want to do that either. What we don't have today, but we are actually in development of it, so it's going to be it'll be before Google Sync, actually. It's probably going to be in the next 2 to 3 months, is the ability to have all your one-to-one email correspondence also automatically go to your contact history. So we don't have it today. If I go, and again, let me pick a real person here. Oh, sorry, this is my demo database. No, let's go to Novak. No, I won't do it, actually. It's not going to work. But, when I was in your contact history, Greg, yes.
You could see that there were mass emails sent, there were letters sent, there were I did have emails out and email in, but I actually copy-pasted those. We're going to have the technology so that you and I and our Outlook emails back and forth would show up in that contact history as individual emails sent and received as opposed to mass emails.
All right. So, that does, to me, it takes a little extra work there, but it's well worth it because now you can see a total record of everything. The next question is, Quantum Mail lets you send mail via map. Can you mail letters in this system the same way, or using a map? Or so can you select say I want all the houses around this particular listing or something like that?
Unfortunately, we don't have that ability. You can choose a distribution list and pick people that are in certain zip codes, or obviously you can go by state or city. You can go down to the zip code range, but not really beyond that. And it's I don't think we have quite what Quantum Mail is being described as there.
All right. So the next question I have is there a one-time startup fee, or you start paying the $34.95 after the 60-day trial?
There's no startup fee.
All right. So the next question is, can she get the task emails? So I'm not sure exactly what that means. Maybe This is from Rochelle asking about her assistant. So can you have, if the emails, the notifications of you need to call this, send this, can those go to somebody other than the primary person within an account?
Yes.
So you can set this so that some other person gets notified to do this work.
Absolutely.
All right, so the next question is from Katie. It says, I currently have a CRM to the Remax lead street. Is there a way to link MLS searches for your contacts?
We don't currently have MLS integration, not today.
And usually what I found is that if you want people to get automatically updates about a particular area, that's the one place where an MLS CRM works very well. That's the only thing I found it really does well. And so to me, set them up there, but put them into your exact contact system, and you'll get actually a much better end result out of it.
I agree.
The next question is, if I have more than 1,000 contacts, does that mean I can only send out 1,000 and only one email a month in order not to be charged?
That's correct. Your first 1,000 mass emails are free. If you wanted to send, say, 2,000, so your database was 1,000 people, and you want to send them, 2 mass emails in a month, you would be sending 2,000 mass emails, first 1,000 free. If you had bulk purchase, say, the additional 10,000, then each month you'd be pulling 1,000 out of that. So that $50 bulk purchase would last you about 10 months, and then you would have to, so it's an extra $5 a month.
All right, so now I'm getting a question that sort of makes me chuckle a little bit. The question is, does this work in Canada?
Yes, it does. Works just as well in Canada and the United States.
So the real question people should ask is, does it work in the United States? Because you guys are in Canada.
Yes, headquarters is Toronto, Canada.
All right.
But three-quarters of our customer base is actually in the States.
All right. So the next question I have is, the example used of buying 10,000 emails, if you bought 10,000 emails for $50, is that monthly if you wanted to send out 8,000 emails, or for each time I send the email, newsletter, and something else in the same month? And I'm not totally clear on the question.
It's a pool of emails. You buy 10,000 and you just use it. You just use them as you need them. And when they run out, they run out.
All right.
You got a jar full of sugar, and you use the sugar jar, and when the sugar jar is empty, you got to put more sugar in it.
That's a great way to think about it. Rich, I'm going to take back over here, and are you free to take any more questions?
Right now, yes, I am.
Okay, so what I want to do is just, since we're actually normally over our little time limit here, what I would like to do is just let people know, if you want to sign up for Exact Contact, or if you have any questions about it, go to exactcontact.com/Hobbs Herder. Also, every month I do these coaching calls, I really want your feedback and comments. What's valuable, what's not valuable. If you would send me feedback to either my email address at greg.herder@hobbsherder.com, make a post on Facebook, I would greatly appreciate that. And then Rich and I will stay here as long as anybody has time for any questions that are coming up. I want to remind you, sign up in advance for all of these coaching calls. Go to hhcalls.com and register, get signed up, and make sure you spend an hour with us every month making sure you're making progress. And then I want to thank you for your time to be here today. I know everybody is busy, but I really want to thank you for your time and attention, and most importantly, your commitment to building your real estate business. That's really where it makes the biggest difference for you, when you take those small, regular steps at building your business going forward. So we will be here as long as anybody wants to answer any more questions. So if you have any questions, please type them into the box, and Rich will be happy to answer them. And I don't see any other questions popping up now, but I'll just wait here for a second and see if there are any other questions. And Rich, I want to thank you very much for sharing your expertise and times with us. That means a lot to us, and we appreciate your work at helping agents really get the most out of their real estate career. The next question is from Tanya Dockstetter. How can I see the header for my newsletter in Exact?
You would, I guess without making me presenter again, the quick answer would be if you go to User Profile, which is in the top right-hand corner of your Exact Contact system. When you click User Profile, it then opens up a bunch of tabs, and one of them is Email Header. Oh, you're giving me the control. Let me take that.
All right.
Okay. People should be able to see my screen. You go to User Profile. You would go to Set Up Email Header, which is this fourth tab over. And there's actually two. Exact Contact gives you the choice of two headers. For people who are working with Hobbs Herder, you're going to want to go straight to the Custom Header tab. And this is where essentially you can create whatever you want, or where Hobbs Herder will upload for you the header that they've designed. And if you go to the preview view, takes away those gray lines. So this is an example of a fully graphical interactive header. It's interactive because you can see these Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn buttons are actually interactive links. That's a hyperlink to my website and so on. So this would be your Hobbs Herder header. If for agents who don't have Hobbs Herder designing their header and don't have any designer help, you can actually create a very simple little graphical header simply by uploading a photo of yourself, and what agent doesn't have a photo, and upload your logo, and what agent doesn't have a logo. You do those two things, and the system puts the rest together for you. The little gray banner grabs your contact information and puts it all there, and that's what they look like.
And so that also answers another question that we had, is that on the newsletter, when it goes out, is it fully able to be shared into social media?
That really comes down to the header, to your email header. If your email header, sorry, I'm not sure I understand the social.
So if somebody sends out a newsletter, can somebody share that newsletter into Facebook or Twitter or some other place?
Today, you would put your social media sharing, or right into your header. The mass emails.
So the question is that little Facebook banner is that linked to Facebook, so I can share the newsletter directly into Facebook?
I'm going to find out.
It is.
But I think it's taking me
to your Facebook page.
To our Facebook page. It's not actually. I think what the person's asking about is there a way to have a mass email copied as like an update to their Facebook page? And I hate to say no.
I think the question was, if somebody gets a newsletter, can I share it into social media? Can I share it into Facebook? But I think it works. Actually, I'm pretty sure because I've done this myself.
Yeah.
So if you were been logged into your own Facebook page, when you click that, it'll take you there.
Yeah,
you can share
that's the problem. I'm not logged in. These are actually follow us buttons. If you want share buttons, I do know that we're adding some social. I think the social media share buttons where you can say I've created a mass email. You know what? I'm drawing a blank here. Maybe it's what you said, Greg.
All right. So I have another question. So if I have a client with a birthday, can I automatically set it up so they get a birthday card every year from me?
Yeah. In fact, it's pretty cool. Cool area. Under user profile, I'm going to go back there for a second. Hang on a second. I'm going to go back to my standard header, save that. So within user profile, there is a preferences area. So you can you can automate your birthday keep in touch. So for a lot of people, the problem is they've maybe done a great job of capturing birth dates. They might have hundreds of them. But how do you create a reminder to celebrate people's birthday without going into the contacts one by one? So here you can click a little button. It says automatically assign contacts with a birth date to the birth date event. And then activate that for all existing contacts as well. So whether you're in my database today or I add you to my database tomorrow with a birth date, I'm going to automatically assign our little keep in touch event. So to configure the keep in touch event, because all I've really said now is, hey, if you're in my system, you got a birth date, I want to know about it. But we would pop into the keep in touch tab at the top here. One of them is birthday. So we go through to the birthday. And the default is, hey, it's going to show up in your calendar on the day of the birthday of the person's birthday. You'll get a reminder the day before. Now you can change that. You could say, no, I want a reminder 5 days before, because depending on the person, I might want to pick up a Hallmark card. I might do a physical card and pop it in the mail. Maybe 7 days is a bit better for that, actually. Or you might decide if someone's really close, someone you're really close to, you might, or a past client that's given you multiple referrals, you've done multiple transactions, I want to send them a basket of flowers or a gift basket. So it doesn't do the send for you. It's a reminder system. So you can have it show up in your calendar. You can also create specific tasks. So you may say, you know what, just show me in the calendar. I don't need to. Actually, I'll get a reminder the day of the birthday, but I want a task 7 days before to pick up a card or whatever. So some people like their calendar, some like their task list more. You can choose how to use it here. But this is basically configuring when a birthday comes up, how's it going to appear in your calendar, and what kind of reminder are you going to get. And then it's up to you whether to send a little e-card, pick up the phone, send a gift basket, or send a nice direct mail card.
So if I have I get this reminder, what do I have to do now to actually send the email birthday card?
That's a manual step.
So just
pick a card and send it.
Okay.
Our system doesn't have holiday cards today, so you would pick. There's a million websites out there with birthday e-cards and holiday e-cards. You pick the ones you like, you send them. So really, it's a organizational system. It's not an actual. It's not a send out cards system.
Okay. So the next question is, can hard bounces emails be removed in groups or only one by one?
Hard bounces are one by one.
So they are one by one.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I see a couple of thank yous, and I want to thank you for your time, Rich, and I'm going to let you go. And I appreciate all your time and effort today, and I hope you have a great day. And if anybody has a question for either Rich or I, send me an email at greg.herder@hobsherder.com, and we'll get back to you and get you an answer. So thank you, Rich, very much for your time today.
Thank you, Greg. My pleasure.
All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll talk to you next month.